Well, I think because so much attention has been to Psycho, on Psycho, that I think people go back and say, well, she really had more, there was more range in Touch of Evil than there was in Psycho. Um, and so that might be it, because it did have, a tremendous uh, up and down range. But when you think of it, so did Psycho, because she starts out, as passionate and into the frustration, into actuality, doing something like stealing, and then the remorse and the but I think for a sustained time that Touch of Evil would come forth. What I think is strange to me, and because the toughest role I think that I ever did was Manchurian Candidate. Because if you think about that, um, everyone else in the movie had already been established. The audience was already into what was happening with these dreams, what was going on. They didn't understand. And they were already, their characters had 20 minutes to get the audience. I had 20 seconds. Uh, and and this woman has to get the audience with her immediately, and that's tough to do and she's so intangible that you don't know, almost mercurial in a way, and yet she is steady, and that's what you have to, the audience is saying, well, now wait a minute, is she flitting, or is she really serious? So it was a very difficult role to play, because you're mouthing something that doesn't mean anything, and your eyes are saying so much, in that, they're saying, hang on, don't jump, you can, get through it, if you need me, this is my number, can you remember that? But yet she's saying, are you Arabic? And she's saying, hold on, I'm not, I'm saying anything, just think. Are you Arabic? Anything to hold on. Don't jump. Don't get off. And so that was a very difficult role to play, I think. Well, the fact I did break my arm just before I started Touch of Evil. And did I tell you the story about Orson, what he said, Orson? Because I had it set at this degree instead of this degree.
Can you say that again? I had set.
I had my arms set, instead of the normal 90 degree. I had it set like at a 45 degree, and then I went to see Orson, and I had like a coat over it, I walked in. He said, "I thought you broke your arm. I heard you broke your arm." And I said, "Well, I did." And I took the coat off and showed him the thing. And he said, "Well, that's we'll have no problem with that." He said, "When I heard about it, I toyed with the idea of having you actually play it with a broken arm." And then he said, "But on a honeymoon, it was even too weird for me." so, so the fact that I had the broken arm might have given another dimension, that I was thinking of that, which could be interpreted of thinking of other things as well. It's amazing what comes out of your eyes sometimes that you don't even know is there. So it could have played a part. I don't know.
Can you just give me a little bit about, and this is the last thing, about getting this call and the first time you met Burns and reading, the whole van thing? Can we just review that and then we're done?
Um, when I signed the contract that day, that afternoon, when I was signed to a contract, from Lucille Ryman's office, right down the same alley was Miss Burns' office. And the next step, Harry Friedman took me into, no, Levis Green, excuse me, took me into Miss Burns' office, where I was introduced, and she gave me a scene, 30 seconds, from 30 seconds. She studied me and, chose that scene. It's 30 seconds, from 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, where Phyllis Thaxter, the wife, is in bed, and Van is going off to, to fly the mission. It's a very tender, sweet scene, and I had just seen the picture. But anyway, that's the scene she chose. And I was to come back in a couple of days, and and she said, work on it. Well, I didn't know what working on a scene meant. I mean, I memorized it. I knew what the picture had been. I was very moved by the picture, so it was very easy for me to identify with this young wife, whose husband was going away, and it was a very poignant scene. And so when I came back with Miss Burns, and we just read the scene, and she got a look in her eye. I didn't know enough about anything, and she went and got the script of Romance of Rosie Ridge, and she said, read this scene with me. And it was the scene where Lissy Ann they're going to a party. It's the first party, get together, after the Civil War, and they go up in the trunk, and it's the dress that Lissy Ann wore the last time they had a hoedown, or whatever they called it, and it's when she puts it on, and of course the dress is, she's developed. She's 16, and she's a developed woman now, and the dress comes up like the waist is here, and it's the realization from the mother and the young girl, Lissy Ann, that she's become a woman. Which is a lovely scene. Anyway, and it was very easy to identify with that. I could understand that. I mean, it made me cry, because it was a thing of the first time a young girl becomes the realization that she is a woman. I mean, and she said, she called the director and the producer of the picture, Romance of Rosie Ridge, Roy Rowland and Jack Cummings, and said, come down here. And she got them, she could do anything, got them to come right down, and she said, now do the scene with me, Jeanette. And I did. I didn't know enough to be scared. That's the funny part. I really didn't know enough to be scared. I just thought it was like make-believe and everything, like kids always did that at home. Anyway, and they decided to test me. And of course, that's when I said those things. Well, I don't know if I'm going to test, because they promised me 3 months that I would get to know what this is all about. Stupid. Anyway, they explained to me very carefully that doing a test for a role is a lot different than doing a test just for a screen test, and that they would advise me to do it. I did. The result was, as you know, L.B. Mayer said, we go with the new one. And that's when, again, when I got the part, and we're dancing and crying, and they say to me, well, you've got to get over to wardrobe, because we leave in 2 weeks on location. And I started to cry, and they said, well, now what? And I said, I can't afford to go, because I can't afford the train and I can't afford the hotel. I didn't know that they paid. I went to wardrobe, and Van stuck his head in the door and said, congratulations, and I love you. He was so sweet and wonderful, and that was it.